Gents, thanks for joining me. I should be editorially neutral, but I've got my scarf on. So this is for those watching, I am an Orient fan, so some prejudices aside, but I'll try and be as neutral as I can be. First, for people who don't know who Leyton Orient are and why, how dare they? But can you explain a bit about the club, Danny, where we play, what sort of size of football club it is, and effects that kind of COVID has had on its gate receipts?
Yeah, so Leyton Orient have had many guises. So we've had Clapton Orient, we've had Orient, and should we say for a number of years now, we've been Leyton Orient. Based in the East End, 1 stop from Stratford, 3 from the city centre of London. And we're a club with a rich history and a future that we're excited about. COVID has put a road bump into our journey to become sustainable in terms of financial ability. I know we'll discuss about sustainability in other meetings, but we want to become a successful, sustainable football club. As a football club, we've gone through every journey possible over the last few years since our new owners come on board. We've gained promotion from the depths of the National League, where we found ourselves for the first time in 130 odd years. We've enjoyed a Wembley final. We've had the tragedy of our head coach, Justin Enneber, tragically passing away from a heart attack. You name it, we've had every single emotion, and COVID, and say, has certainly provided, as it has for every club, a number of challenges. It's had a massive impact on the finances of every football club. We're not immune from that. We're just blessed with the phenomenal support we've had from every stakeholder, from our chairman to our sponsors to our fans, has been absolutely first class and something we'll never ever take for granted. We're desperate to get fans back when it's safe to do so, because football without fans, it is, whether it's the Briar Group Stadium or Old Trafford, just is not the same.
When you look at kind of a club like Orient, who play in what used to be the old 4th division, League Two, the average gate is what, about 3,000-4,000?
5,600 our average was prior to lockdown last season.
So if you lose that revenue, for the bigger clubs, people will be watching going, well, they always make it up through the Premier League TV money. How does it work for a smaller club like Orient?
Yeah, our loss of revenue, we've been lucky that we've had the financial support continuing from the EFL and also additional monies from the Premier League, which has been very welcomed. It's been a huge challenge. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's been managing cash flow on a daily basis. And it's required some creative thought, how we can try and trim our costs without impacting on our ability to make revenue. And then through some exceptional creative ideas that have come from random sources, a huge amount has come through Josh and his team in driving our commercial revenues even further forward. I didn't think that was possible pre-pandemic, and certainly during the pandemic, we've exceeded, I think, everyone's expectations, including that of Josh and myself and the board. And that's what it's required. It's required some out-of-the-box thinking. We as a football club try to think bigger than the sum of our parts. And I think we've achieved that. We'll never again rest on our laurels and just sit back, because that's not, as a football club, how we will ever become sustainable, if we just sit back and take what we've done as a success.
Let's talk about the energy side of things. And Josh, obviously, for a stadium, for again, people who don't know about football, they'd assume that a stadium is just used once every 2 weeks, and it's a few lights and maybe some hot dog stands. What sort of energy use does the club have? Because it's actually a mixed-use development for people who don't know that stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the stadium is a quite a unique ground, with a stand that dates back to the 1950s to our most modest modern stand that was built in 2000 and 2008. So obviously the 2008 stand is far better in its energy consumption, and some of our earlier stands are quite archaic and maybe use more energy than maybe they should have, with updates, etc. But Consultative came in and gave us a real good oversight on what our energy usage is. It made us more aware of where we're at and where we can, as Danny mentioned earlier, trim away some of the costs that we can work on. So I think we were almost at 1 million kind of kilowatts per hour over the course of over a year.
And what is that energy used for? Is it for things like the floodlights and catering, or is it kind of heating? What sort of things does the Orient pitch and stadium have?
Yeah, many factors. So yeah, obviously Tuesday night games, you will have kind of lights on the pitch, which take up some energy. But equally, the stadium has, over the past 3 seasons, we've had a real focus on driving on non-match day business. So whilst the stadium's been used 30 times a season for football, we're massively growing our usage on a non-football football day. So the stadium is being used more now than ever on non-match days to host conferences, birthday parties, and all types of things. But yeah, there's on match days you've got your concession units across all the stands. So yeah, the energy is in fairly constant usage.
Has the club done anything yet, Danny, to try and mitigate that before this relationship with Consultative came in? Have you looked at, for example, LED lighting or combined heat and power? Is there anything like that in the structure of the stadium at all yet?
Yeah, prior to Consultative Utilities coming in, and say, as we always say, we don't have sponsors, we have partners, and that's very much the case with all of them, especially with Consultative. And I think the name says it what it is on the tin, is that myself and Josh and the team aren't energy experts. We've all got a passion to make sure that we are as economical with our spend as we can, and doing our bit for the environment. We're a relatively big entity in terms of our footprint of the stadium, match day and non-match day, and we believe we'll always have more stuff we can do. I think we dipped probably our foot into the pond, but we now, COVID put a stop on pretty much everything. There's no point us trying to reduce things when we've got no crowds in, but there's now a number of things that I believe we've got to do, should do, and I'm hoping that the game as a whole puts in, I wouldn't say rules, but certainly guidelines to further encourage clubs to really, once we're out of this pandemic, to focus on how we can all increasingly play our part as football clubs.
And what sort of things do you think they should be doing? Because people say that stadiums, yes, they're used, but also the club has a training ground. You have, out in the community work. You do lots of other things. Football clubs are kind of like almost mini towns wherever they are. So they have a lot of energy use. They have a lot of responsibility for the young. What are you looking at in terms of what Orient should be? Do you want to try and become a net zero club, join clubs like Forest Green who've put a real kind of sustainability brand out there, or are you thinking more it's a financial driver for a club like Orient?
I think it's a stepping stone. I could not applaud what Dale Vince at Forest Green have done. I've had the pleasure of going there a couple of times now, and every time I'm a bit wowed by how much they're doing. Are we going to get to that level? Probably not. Do we want to? Yeah, probably, but it's going to take a number of years. Now, my approach is, as Josh has alluded to, and you'll see from the pitch behind him, we've got a number of stands that are not, they're not long-term viable. Our view is that as facilities need to be replaced, at the top of that is to make sure that we are putting in energy efficient lighting. We're looking at everything that we possibly can to make, reduce our energy bills. I'm not going to beat around the bush. First and foremost, that has got to be it's not but a priority. But alongside that is to make sure that we are reducing our energy consumption for the greater good of this planet. We can do our small bit.
Yeah, and Josh, in terms of kind of ambition, what are you looking to do? What sort of things, now that you've had this kind of energy audit, what are the things you're going to do right now? First of all, the low-hanging fruit, as they call it, that you think the club could do straight away?
I think there's a number of things. I think number one, and probably the lowest of the hanging fruit, is the kind of re-education. I, for one, was brought up in a house where if I didn't turn a light off when I left the room, my father would give me a gentle tap. So I think there's a big piece around kind of re-educating not only staff but our fan base and how we can all play our part. And it is as simple as turning off a light. So I think that's a key message that we want to work with Consultative and really emphasise. There's other things that we're currently looking at is solar. So we're in conversations with a company around that, and Consultative are very much kind of holding our hand during those conversations and the process. Like Danny said, we've got some lighting updates that we've put into key areas in the West Stand, and we want to replicate that across other stands. But it's equally becoming an important question when we're entering into new partnerships with new partners. For example, we are talking to a coffee brand at the moment, and the top thing on their agenda is being the most eco-friendly coffee provider that there is. So what wasn't necessarily on all top list of partnership conversations, it's certainly slowly making its way up that list to become a real key conversation.
What about things like waste? I've been to match days, the amount of litter that's there still, but recycling bins. Are you introducing things like that? Have you got those things earmarked for when fans are back in the stadiums?
Yeah, we work with Bywaters, who are a waste management partner, and if you get a chance, take a look at their website. The work that they do for sustainability is vast and is incredible. So we work really closely with them to see how we can become better, that type of thing. And I know, Danny, you've had conversations with council around that kind of recycling process, but yeah, certainly it's something we can become a bit smarter at. And I guess COVID, whilst it's put a lot of additional pressure on people, it's equally given people a little bit of a chance to take a step back from what seems like relentless football calendar and start looking at those wider important topics.
And Danny, just to end with, I mean, the fans are changing. My boy's 22. He's from a different era to me. Younger fans are coming on much more educated about the planet. They all expect you as a club where they come and support to be doing its bit. Do you think football has a role to play now, even more so? You've seen Marcus Rashford doing things for the community that football now has to say, look, actually, environmentally, we're a massive footprint. Football itself, not just clubs like yourself, but the whole football kind of institution. And environmentally, that's what a lot of young people who become fans care about.
Yeah, I think you've hit many nails on the head. I think COVID has taught us the power that football can bring to not just the euphoria and despair at times of a football fan, but also the massive impact it has on its community. 9 out of 10 times that's good. And as part of that, it's all about how we can become even more sustainable and all play our part. We can all applaud what Forest Green have done and what they continue to do. And if we can take on 5 or 10% of what they're doing, and every club did that, every business did that, it would make a monumental difference to everything that we're trying to achieve.
So a couple of seasons from now, I can get an e-bike, cycle up to the ground, get out, have it charged, can I, boys?
Well, hopefully won't be long before we can certainly get a few spots in there for those that want to do that. Just a small thing. We're encouraging. We put cycle racks in. It sounds like such a small, simple thing, but again, we ordered those, and then the week lockdown came in March last year. But they're ready to go, and I know that Josh will be pedalling the 40 miles from his house to the stadium. I'm sure, and I'll join in.
Excellent, Danny, Josh, thanks very much. And of course, I couldn't say, go on, good luck for the season, for what's left. But in all seriousness, I think the club's doing a great job around this and shows that smaller clubs can play their part. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.